Good evening, everyone. At this point, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Joanne, will you call the roll?
Yes. Miss Sarah McKinney,
Present.
Dr. Teray,
Present.
Miss Campos,
Present.
Miss Richards,
Here.
Mr. Latham,
Here.
Mr. Jimmy McKinney,
Here.
and Mr. Perry.
Here.
7 present.
All right, we have a quorum. This meeting was going to be a little different than our normal ones, as you can tell by the screens. We are conducting the meeting entirely by video conference. The public may view and listen to this meeting at the following live stream URL: www.metrotech.edu/mtc-live. One thing to note is we are using technology, and it can always go awry. So if for some reason we lose the video feed or lose one of our members on video feed, we'll recess to a call of the chair for 30 minutes. If for some reason the technical situation is such that we cannot reconvene, then we will adjourn the meeting and call a special meeting in the future. Another point of just clarification here is today, if possible, for motions and seconds, would you please make sure that you state your name before you give the motion or the second, just to make it a little easier on Joanne to keep our minutes. So just a few little things there for clarity's sake for the new format. At this time, we'll move on to item number 3 on our agenda, the superintendent's report, and I'll turn it over to Superintendent Parrish.
Okay, thank you, President Latham. I'd like to welcome everybody. Also, as Mr. Latham said, to our first ever virtual meeting. And just a quick overview of the last month. We've been practicing safer at home or shelter in place for exactly 1 month and 1 day now. And first of all, I'd like to commend the entire Metro Tech staff. It took the collaboration of everybody, including all the teachers, instructors, departments, to make everything work. And everyone was instrumental in keeping our operations running. It's truly been an amazing level. And it shows that together we are better. I think you know that you're aware that our school follows the crisis framework of NIMS, which is our National Incident Management System. I'd like to just go back just briefly. Since our last meeting, the night after that was Wednesday, March 11th, is when the Thunder played the Utah Jazz and the game was canceled. I think everybody really got an awakening in Oklahoma after that night. The next morning at the Business Conference Center, our incident commander of NIMS called a meeting at 7:30, and they went into immediate deployment and planning mode. And I know our incident commander, I'd been watching her for a couple of weeks since the pandemic was announced, and she had been already planning for this. So it wasn't, I think we were way ahead of the game on that. The next Monday, March 16th, the State Board of Education voted for closure of all instructional activities through Friday, April 3rd. And you know, later they came back on March 25th and declared no more students would be on site for the remainder of the school year, and everyone would finish by distance learning. We closed the Business Conference Center and all instructional sites that Monday, March 16th for spring break also. Our incident commander that day instructed all staff to practice shelter in place and be on call for any essential activities. And this will occur until our students and staff are no longer unsafe from the COVID-19 pandemic. I want to again commend our instructional staff, including the site directors and our IT and other departments. They worked those 2 weeks after spring break every day to prepare what we're calling our continuous learning plan, which is our distance learning plan. The teachers and instructors returned to communicating and doing that distance learning with all students on Monday, April 6th. And they'll continue this practice until school is out in May. One more thing I would just like to let the board be aware of is as you know, there's a resolution in your packet. And one good reason why we need these emergency powers is the federal stimulus for financial aid. We found out just in the last couple of business days that it's the money that we use for our expenses, and it can be transferred to our students that are on financial aid. And it's in the amount of $466,000, somewhere in there tentatively. And what the one reason that we have that is so I'm able to sign those contracts and then bring them back, keep the board informed, and bring them back to you at a later board date. But there's going to be timelines on some things such as this that need to be done like within 5 business days and back to them. So I just wanted you to know that that's just one instance. I want everyone to know that I'm going to work as closely with our Board of Education through Zoom like we're doing, and telephone calls, and relay this information to our students, staff, and stakeholders through our internal RAISE system, as well as social media. And you can also find it on our webpage at metrotech.edu. Again, to everyone in there, I truly appreciate the support that this board has given their trust in me and our entire staff during this time as we work through this difficult period. And at this point, I would like to ask if there's any board member reports.
This
Bob,
is Linda. I do not have a report.
If I could just ask a question that I didn't have a chance to ask later today. Who on our staff, on the senior staff, is the point person for dealing and working with the lady from the School Board Association in reference to the superintendent's vacancy?
I believe it would be Cindy Friedemann. Is
any questions that we have that she can find out an answer for us?
I would see if Mr. Latham, or you could probably call Stephanie Hyder at the OSSBA. And Mr. Latham, do you have a recommendation on that? I think you're muted.
I muted myself. I asked Ms. Hyder that question, and she recommended that we direct questions through me, or if it's something that you feel more comfortable, then I'm happy to give you her direct contact information. But I'm happy to field as many questions as you'd like through me. And I know Joanne has had some contact with her as well, just in terms of a lot of the administrative stuff. But I'm more than happy to field those questions and get those back to her. If you feel more comfortable or for some reason don't want to go through me, then I'm happy to also get you in touch with her.
Great, thank you.
Any other board member reports?
I don't have minutes from the personnel report, very brief. We had a very short meeting on April 2nd, and there were only 2 items, the 2021 contracts, and there are 2 new positions recommended, and those are on the agenda for tonight.
This is Miriam. I just wanted to say thank you for keeping us informed during all this COVID-19 situation, and thank you to the staff for keeping our students informed of what's going on and transitioning to the distance learning. So we appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's go back to the treasurer's report and also look at the audit. If Matt Genhart, if you would come on and present that, please.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
I can hear
Okay.
you, Matt. I
Yes,
can hear you.
Okay. The treasurer's report was provided in your packet, and we're still using the same format that you guys enjoy. Our numbers are looking right on where we item planned. We're on pace to reach our fund balance goal on both the general and building fund. Our collections in ad valorem for the month of March and April were strong. We received over $3 million in about a span of 3 weeks. So the funds are coming in at a good level. So we are right on track, if not a little bit ahead. As you know, the investment sector is dropping down. So our earnings on our investments are going to continue to decline from what was anticipated early on in the year. But we plan to adjust that budget as we get more concrete numbers on that. I'd just like to entertain any questions regarding the treasurer's report.
Matt, are you taking into consideration the fact that with the price of oil down where it is, that the state is going to be taking in a whole lot less funds and may look to cut what they send to us? Have we gotten any direction on that at all yet?
I'm gonna let Bob answer that. He's been in more direct meetings related to that.
Today, Mr. Perry, they said we're not sure yet how FY20 when the revenue failure is going to end. As you're aware in the press, there's some disagreements between the House, Senate, and the governor on some of those where they're going to receive those funds from to close the revenue failure, and the board hasn't met yet to wrap that up. But for FY21, they've told our system, our state director and our system, to be looking at a 3% decrease for FY21. She said today in a notification that they were going to try to be revenue neutral for next year, but she has been asked to look at 3%, and that amount for Metro Technology Centers would be about the same amount that we received on our health benefit allowance last year. And it's going to kind of be a wash on that. So we are going to have to look at where we're at with our budget and budget accordingly and staff accordingly from here at this point. I think that probably by May, we need to be looking at maybe a hiring freeze on new positions and new employees. But we'll look at that and see. But right now, I'm not concerned about it because our growth has been more than that amount that we would lose in that. But the growth could also decrease too with this national failure that we're going through with the economy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And you want me to go ahead and introduce
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
I'm going to introduce Jerry Putnam. This is their first year to audit us again. They audited us about, I think it's about 7 years ago, and then we've got them back again. They do a really great job. They're out of Edmond, and him and his staff have been very good to work with us in the finance department to prepare the audit. And I'm going to turn it over to Jerry Putnam.
Yes, so Matt, can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
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 My video has stopped, so I hope you can see me. I'm working from my cell phone today, but yes, this has been a very pleasant reunion for us to come back and work with you all and get back with some familiar staff members and board members on the audit report this time around. We did audit the district way back in the early days, and just want to say up front, really sincerely appreciate all the cooperation everyone showed us during this audit and helped us complete our report. You know that career tech audit reports are a little bit different than the common school district audits in that the quest for accuracy and transparency that the career techs have committed to means that we present the audit on the accrual basis. So it's not like the common school districts where we just have a snapshot at June 30th of the cash and investments and try to show the cash in and out during the year. We have much more information in this type of audit report. We've got, of course, receivables at June 30th for ad valorem taxes that received after the end of the year, federal funds received after the year ended. We provide a allowance for compensated absences if we would have to make payments to employees because of absence that they had earned leave. We also show fixed asset inventories in the report. And the biggest thing that's new is that we show the information from the teachers' retirement system audits. And so that has a big impact on your report in that we had to incorporate about $23 million of liability from the teachers' retirement system, just in case, in that contingent possibility that we would have to come forward and help them meet retirement obligations for district employees. And that something that truly affects the report very significantly. But when we put all the numbers in the blender and combine all these things, these liabilities with the receivables we have, we showed that your net position, which is like your net worth, actually increased about $268,000. So we're very close to the previous year, but the net worth changed from $12,568,912 to $12,837,656. We did receive $80 million right at the end of the year for some new debt that was voted. And so that's also included. The staff was very much on the ball. They were able to get collateral in place when that money hit the bank at the end of the year. And I wanted to say that we're not able to review every piece of paper when we do an audit, but we were very pleased when we did our sampling. The staff was able to provide additional information or give us any help that we needed to satisfy questions that we had related to documentation issues. This was a unique audit for us because we're auditing more through the computer. You're a little bit more advanced than some of our other career techs in that you have a lot of documents that are scanned, and we had to approach things a little bit differently. And that was the only thing that I think was troubling for us, maybe a little more difficult for us, but that's because we've been kind of old school, and we're sure encouraging our other clients now to move towards this type of system that you're using, and also appreciated that you had an independent accountant help prepare your financial statements, where we face a lot of independence issues these days. If we do too much work on the audit preparing financial statements. So there again, you're kind of a step ahead of the rest of the crowd in that you have an independent preparation of the financial statements that helped us too. But I'd sure welcome any questions that you might have. I sure want to say thanks to Superintendent, everyone on down that helped us in completing our report.
Any questions for Mr. Putnam?
Yes, this is Linda Teray. I just wanted an understanding about, it was the unaudited. I didn't understand that. It was the Metro Technology Center School District number 22 management's discussion and analysis unaudited.
That's a great question. That under the generally accepted accounting principles that we follow, it's required now that the school district submits a report, and Matt Genhart worked in preparing that response. And that's just a kind of boilerplate language. We say that we didn't audit the pages that Matt inserted there as far as the management letter into the audit report. It really wasn't our work. And so we have to kind of disclaim it, but we've sure reviewed the numbers and they match up what we have in the report. It's just kind of a technical issue that we can't say that we audited his letter.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Do we get a hard copy of that report?
We gave a hard copy at the last board meeting, and it was passed out at that. And then Joanne attached one, but we can sure get you another copy of that if you'd like to have a hard copy when we get back in normal operations. So,
Okay, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I can tell you what happened to mine. It got flooded in my garage.
oh, I'm sorry. Miriam, did you have a question?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you.
If no other questions, Jerry, again, we thank you for taking your time this evening to be with us and understand that it's difficult right now, but we sure appreciate you coming in and answering any questions. And I would like the board to know that we'll have Jerry for at least 2 more years. We go on these for 3 years at a time. So we really look forward to staying working with you, and we appreciate everything you do for Metro Tech. And again, thank you for being here tonight, and you're welcome to leave anytime you'd like.
Superintendent Parrish, this is Linda Touré. Is this the report that's going to the state office?
Yes, it is.
There is just a typo on that one last page that they probably want to correct on the findings, I believe, that they want to, and they'll see it. It's the second line from the bottom where we talk about federal awards. Just look at that. And
Okay.
if this is the one, so
Thank
they'll
you.
make that correction. Mhm.
We'll sure review that before that's uploaded to the state auditor's website.
Appreciate it.
Any changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, dates of upcoming events. You can see in your schedule that we're already planning to have the May 5th meeting like this. I don't see that there's that we can guarantee that we'll be back at that time. So we're going to go ahead and make that a virtual board meeting also. And you can see we rescheduled the Foundation Sowing the Seeds of Success banquet to Thursday, August 27th. So it's already been reset. And again, are there any other board member reports before we go on? Okay, President Latham, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Parrish. Thank you, Mr. Putnam. And the only thing I'll add would be just that I'll echo Miriam's statements of how well the staff has adapted, and even getting this call together for this meeting. Really appreciate everybody working with folks to make sure that we all know how to work the technology. You've already told me not to mute myself and try to talk, and I've already violated the rules once, so I'll try to do better at that moving forward. So we'll move on to item number 4. It is a temporary policy regarding Board of Education meetings via teleconference or video conference. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Latham, this is Linda. I move that we approve this policy.
This is Miriam. I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Joanne, will you call the roll?
Ms. McKinney,
Aye.
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Touré,
Aye.
Mr. McKinney, and Mr. Latham. That was a yes on Mr. McKinney.
Aye.
All aye.
About now. There we go.
There we
Okay,
go.
thank you.
And you voted yes, Mr. McKinney?
Aye.
Okay, all aye.
All right. Motion carries. We'll move on to item number 5. Temporary policy regarding public participation at board meetings. We have a motion.
This is Miriam Campos. A motion to approve.
Jimmy seconds.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Joanne, will you call the roll?
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Ms. McKinney,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Touré,
Aye.
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
and Mr. Latham.
Aye.
All aye.
Item number 5 carries. Item number 6, a motion to approve a resolution to grant emergency powers to Superintendent Parrish. I'll move to approve.
I second.
Ms. McKinney seconds. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, President Latham, I'm wondering if we should have an ending date for this item.
That's a great point. I would move to amend the item to extend as long as the governor's emergency order is in effect.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Who seconded the amendment?
I will.
And I'll stop there for a second. Bob, is that sufficient, or do we need to do it as long as the schools are not let in according to the Board of Education? Which would be a better deadline for you?
I think it'd be until the schools are let back to normal.
Okay. Then I would like to table that motion and amend my motion to say until the State Board of Education has reconvened schools. And however that needs to be worded. I don't know, Joanne, you probably can wordsmith that correctly.
Second.
I have a question, Mr. President. Would it be until the State Board of Education reconvenes or until Governor Stitt declares there's no emergency again or healthy?
Bob stated that it probably makes more sense for us to stay in line with the State Board of Education.
Okay.
And that makes sense to me based off the reason for the granting of powers with the federal funds and some things like that. I think that's probably in conjunction with what makes the most sense.
Yep.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Hearing no discussion on the amendment, Joanne, will you call the roll on the amendment?
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Teray,
Aye.
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Ms. McKinney,
aye,
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
and Mr. Latham.
Aye.
All aye.
All right, amendment passes. Now we're on to, we already have a motion and a second on the item, correct? But we probably
Yeah.
need to do it as amended. So do we have a motion as amended on item number 6?
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry, the second was?
Linda.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on item number 6 as amended? Hearing none. Joanne, will you call the roll?
Ms. McKinney,
aye,
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Teray,
Aye.
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
and Mr. Latham.
Aye.
All aye.
Item number 6 carries. Item number 7, a resolution to change the school calendar and ensure employee pay.
Linda
have a motion.
Teray, I move approval.
Second.
We have a second from, sorry,
Elizabeth?
Elizabeth, is that you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Second from Elizabeth. We have any discussion on this item? Hearing none. Joanne, will you call the roll?
Dr. Teray,
Yes.
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Ms. Sarah McKinney,
aye,
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
Mr. Jimmy McKinney,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
and Mr. Latham.
Aye.
All aye.
All right, item number 7 carries. Item number 8, the consent docket. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve. Ron Perry.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Joanne, will you call the roll?
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Ms. McKinney,
aye,
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Teray,
Aye.
and Mr. Latham.
Aye.
All aye.
Item number 8 carries. Move on to item number 9, general business items. Do we have a motion?
move to approve, Sarah McKinney,
Miriam second.
Teray.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, then Joanne, will you call the roll?
Ms. McKinney,
aye,
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Teray,
Aye.
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
and Mr. Latham.
Aye.
All aye.
Item number 9 carries. Move on to item number 10, personnel. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the personnel report.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay. We have a
Linda
motion.
Teray, I'm sorry, second. I'm sorry, Mr. President.
You're fine.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, Sarah McKinney here. Item number 10A1. There's the site director. And it says to be determined, I guess TBD. And then on item 10B, it says transfer from interim to director
Mhm.
to be determined. And I am just wondering, that was kind of confusing to me. How was it advertised? Was it advertised as such, or we're transferring, and do these individuals know where they're going to be going?
Mary?
I'd like some answers on that for
Mary
clarity.
Craft, are you available?
Yes, I am. When we interviewed for those positions, we interviewed for several, the site director positions all at one time in lieu of having, since we had 2 positions opened at the same time, instead of having people come to 2 interviews for the positions, we had them jointly. And we have waited to determine based on our enrollment next year where our greatest need is going to be. We may be moving around directors and or assistant directors depending on enrollment. So probably in May, when we get better enrollment numbers, we'll have a better idea of where the people will be. And they are aware of that, that those assignments are open. We have the ability to move site directors kind of at will based on the needs of the district.
Okay, and on the one on, let's see, there seems to be something else. I had another question on that.
Was it advertised? You mentioned advertisement, Ms. McKinney.
Yes. Was it advertised as such?
They were advertised as a site director for SBC, a site director for ITC, a site director for health. But what we found out is that we had multiple people applying for multiple, the same people applying for multiple locations. And so we combined the interview process.
Okay, thank you.
We have other discussion on item number 10.
I have an issue, not anything that's going to be earth shattering, but I'm very disturbed that our director at the Aviation Center is to be determined. That's, one of our crown jewels, and I'm very distressed to know that we don't have someone standing in the wings to take over that particular kind of a job, because it is rather special. Do we have any ideas who we're going to put into place there, or are we just going to let it hang for a while?
The to be determined is the date of his retirement. He hasn't given us an official date, and we think it's going to be the 1st of August sometime. And there will be a posting when he gives that date, and go through the interview process, and hopefully have a person on staff. When he leaves, there's already a person there. And we don't know, we don't have any idea who that would be.
Yeah, okay. Well, we've got, special arrangements with the FAA and a number of folks around town that have a very keen interest in our aviation school.
Yeah.
And I just want to kind of caution us to be prudent.
We will. There'll be a lot of people, there'll be a lot of interest in that position from many different sources. So the TBD is because we don't have a date.
Okay.
That, I find that very concerning that we would be able to advertise and hire based on not knowing where you're going to be. Not where you're going to be placed. I find that very puzzling, and this is probably not the forum to discuss it, so let's move on.
I think those are all great questions. I think, in my mind, you'd want to make sure that we've got a plan for all of those sites. And so
Absolutely.
it may be something that we want to take up in a personnel committee meeting to just review our plan for site directors. So I think that would address both Mr. McKinney and Ms. McKinney's concerns and thoughts there. So
Okay,
we just might note that, Bob, if you don't mind.
I agree.
And
Perfect.
hopefully to address it in the near future.
It'll be by Zoom, I'm sure. We'll have a
Mhm.
committee meeting on that, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Any other
Mr.
discussion on
President.
item number 10?
Yes, I have a question. I thought I saw the new position. Was it included in our board agenda documents? The Director for Institutional Learning? Was that job description included in our packet?
Yes, it was.
Okay, I thought I saw it. Could someone just summarize just briefly again what that position does? I think I even looked at the qualifications, but just tell me exactly what they'll be doing.
Mary, are you there?
Aircraft.
This position is what used to be called the Director of Professional Development. It was at one point institutional learning, and then we made it professional development. Now we're going to go back and call it institutional learning again, but that's basically what it is. Someone to lead and guide professional development of both faculty and non-faculty.
Thank you. Okay. Actually, I recall seeing it. I don't know why, for whatever reason, I couldn't pull it up, but thank you, Ms. Kraft.
And I'll note on that we did have that discussion in the personnel committee meeting that Ms. McKinney was highlighting some of the stuff on, and Randa Prong and her team have really done a great job on professional development and making sure they have the resources to continue that job, because we know we've got a lot of folks who are really great in their field, their vocation, but teaching that vocation sometimes can be a challenge to translate to. So I really am excited about what we've been able to do there and continuing that work. So I think that's a great job by Randa and Mary and her team to find the right needs there that we need to fill. Any other discussion on item number 10? All right, seeing none, Joanne, will you call the roll?
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Teray,
Aye.
Mr. McKinney. Okay,
See if you can get unmuted here.
okay,
Oh,
almost.
You are muted by host.
Okay. Aye, did you? vote
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Miss McKinney,
Aye.
okay, and Mr. Latham,
aye.
all aye.
Item number 10 carries. On to item number 11, encumbrances and purchasing.
Sarah McKinney, I move we vote approve item number 11.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on item number 11? All right, hearing none. Joanne, will you call the roll?
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Dr. Teray,
Aye.
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Ms. McKinney,
Aye.
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
and Mr. Latham. All aye.
Item number 11 carries. And before we take up item number 12, I just want to take the liberty to say thank you to everybody again. This has been a pretty painless process. I think this has gone pretty smooth for our first virtual board meeting. And so thanks to the staff, board members, really appreciate your willingness to try something new here so we can keep the trains on time. So with that said, item number 12 is an adjournment. Do we have a motion?
Move we adjourn.
Second,
Second.
Miriam.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Joanne, will you call the roll?
Ms. McKinney,
Aye.
Dr. Teray,
Aye.
Ms. Campos,
Aye.
Ms. Richards,
Aye.
Mr. Latham,
Aye.
Mr. McKinney,
Aye.
and Mr. Perry.
Aye.
All aye.
Okay.
You are adjourned.
Good job, Mr. President.
Thank you.